Hi, fifth graders. We are going to continue reading The Road to Freedom. We're going to read chapter 9 today, which is actually the last complete chapter in the book. After this chapter, there is something called an epilogue, but it talks more about some of the facts of that actual time period where slavery was occurring. So this is our last chapter where we get to read about Emma. Before we get into it, let's look at what are we actually trying to accomplish today. Our target today is to be able to determine the theme of a text. So looking through what is a theme. And remember, theme is kind of the message the author is trying to send us. The mushy-gushy, right? The things that the girls love and go, oh, and the things that the boys go, ugh, ugh. So let's talk about our vocabulary word for today. Our vocabulary word is surrounded. You can see with this that the ed at the end makes it past tense. The definition of surrounded is to be all around or encircled. So when I think of being surrounded, I think of people kind of being all around and almost feeling trapped because everyone's around you. Then we're going to continue our skill that we've been working on, which is word families. And I'm really excited about today's word because it's something that we learned in class. So we're looking at territory. And again, in class, we did the signal word terra. And we did, when I said terra, you would say terra, earth and soil. So any of these words today that you see have to do in some way with earth and soil because we learned that root. We know that. So here are a couple words that have to do with earth and soil. We have our first word, subterranean. Sub means below, and we actually talked about this word in class. We looked at how we can break words down. Sub, in like a submarine. Submarine, marine is water, and submarines go below water, so sub means below or under. So terranean means underground. So a really cool way that you can break a word down and discover the meaning of a word without ever knowing what the word actually meant in the first place. Another one that we've talked about this year is terrarium. And the reason we've talked about this is we built our own terrariums, right? Think about what went into the terrariums. Yeah, soil. We put soil in the terrariums along with our crickets and our pill bugs, as well as those plants that we put in there. Terrace is kind of like almost like a patio. You're sitting out looking at the yard, all the plants around you. And then terrestrial, and this is one that always kind of bothered me a little bit because terrestrial means like of Earth. And so a word you might have heard for an alien is extraterrestrial. Well, when you think about extra means even more. So extraterrestrial kind of means like even more terrestrial, even more of the Earth. Well, that's not what an extraterrestrial is. They're an alien. They're not from this Earth, let alone like extra Earth. So that was a word that I never understood. Maybe someone can explain to me what that actually means. But all of those words, because they're in that same word family, we were able to determine the meaning because we knew what that root was. And that's why roots are so important to learn, because you can decipher so many different unknown words just based on knowing a couple keywords. All right, so let's get into our learning today. Again, we are looking at the theme. What is the theme? What does the author continue to bring up over and over and over again in the story? All right, here we go. Chapter 9. Remember in chapter 8, they finally made it up to the north. Harriet Tubman helped get them to Philadelphia and then put them on a train to go all the way up to Canada. Really small picture on this page. Chapter 9. Hidden beneath blankets and surrounded by sacks, we sat on the hard floor of the train car. We heard the long toot of the horn as it pulled out of the station. I'd never moved so fast, and my stomach turned and twisted with the train. So yesterday I asked you to write a response about what you think it would have been like to ride on this train. And now we're getting to hear that, what it actually felt like. And notice, the author's using extremely good word choice. They're using things like the long toot of the horn. So it's making us think what it would have actually sounded like if we'd been there. My stomach turned and twisted. So explaining what Emma was feeling as she went through this experience. Mama sat Mama offered me food, but for the first time since we ran, I couldn't eat. I was tired and sore. I looked over at Mama. Her head rested on her knees, and her boots were nearly worn clean through. Her dress, dirty and torn, hung on her loose like a sack. What does that tell us? That her dress hung loose on her. What does that tell us? She looked up to see me staring and smile. "You were real strong, Emma," she said. "Your papa would have been proud." I smiled back. "You too, Mama," I said. She reached for my hand. "Almost there," she whispered. Every once in a while, me and Mama would peek through the crack in the car, hoping to see something. But there was nothing to see but trees and more land. Hard to tell Buffalo from where we'd come. Another day dawned, and the train slowed to a stop. We waited. Was this our stop? Mama got up to look, and the door to the train car opened. Outside, a man waited. His skin was brown like mine, and his hair was as white as the moon. Really good simile there. He led us to his carriage and helped us up. The day was still and gray, and all the trees were bare. "I'll take you up to Lewiston, to the Niagara crossing," he said. "Make it across, and you are in free territory. You need to find a house with 4 pillars, which are like posts in the front of the house. From there, you'll row across the river." He helped us down, and we gathered our blankets and the last of our food. He turned to his carriage and rode away, humming a song. "O Canaan, sweet Canaan, I'm bound for the land of Canaan." When we saw the house with 4 pillars in front of us, I squeezed Mama's hand. I couldn't believe freedom was across the water. I didn't know what our new life in Canada would be, but I knew as I boarded that little rowboat that whatever it was, I was safe now from the auction block, and we were together. The sun was setting, and up above us, the North Star was shining bright. We rowed toward Canada and into freedom. Okay, so a couple things to think about. Even in that last chapter, a couple things popped into my head as I was reading through it. She made a point that all through it they had stuck together. So that could be a possible theme. Togetherness, working together, right? Would Emma and her mom have been able to make it if they hadn't worked together? Or if they hadn't even worked together with other people? So there's strength in numbers. So that could be a possible theme, working together. Another thing that it said, let's see. I can't think of it. I was thinking of it as I was reading. Oh, I've lost it. What was it? Oh, perseverance, right? Because it was talking about Mom's dress hanging really loose. And what that meant was that she had lost a lot of weight. She didn't have a lot of food. She was walking so much, she lost lots of weight. And so it made me think that they had to work so hard. No matter what the struggle was, no matter what problem they encountered, they had to push through it. They had to continue and be strong and continue working through. So perseverance. And every year, I always forget this, but a student always raises their hand and says, "Well, the book is called The Road to Freedom. Isn't freedom a theme?" It's like, yes, freedom is a theme, and I always forget to mention that. So yes, freedom is absolutely a theme. Again, I kind of mentioned as well that getting help, right? Getting help from other people, having courage. And so the one I'm going to talk about, the theme that I'm going to use as my example, is going to be really kind of bravery. And sometimes the theme can just be one word, bravery. But I'm going to write it so that it's a couple words put together, that you must be brave to overcome danger. You must be brave to overcome danger. And I'm writing it down in my journal so that I can show you kind of a little map, a web of thinking. So I put a box around the theme right here. So I put theme, and I had a box, and I wrote those words inside of it. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up with 3 boxes down below that all support that theme. So we're going to find some key details that support this theme of bravery overcoming danger. So the first one is that they went through lots of hardships, right? So the one I'm going to specifically pull out is the ice breaking. Ice breaks, but they keep going, right? It would have been really easy to say, oh, the ice broke. That could have been really bad. Let's turn back. We know that we'll be safe there. We won't be living a good life, but it will at least be alive. And they said, no, this is worth it. We have to be brave. We have to face the danger. We have to do it because what we want in the end is worth it. So I just put a little box off to the side saying that the ice broke. And again, kind of right there, I said something else, that their goal was too important. And I'm going to say their freedom was more important than danger. Now that's not really a specific moment from the story, so I put it in the middle here. It's not a specific moment from the story, but it is something that continually happened. They were putting themselves in harm's way because freedom was so much more important to them. Okay, and the last part of being brave to overcome that danger, was that they had to be brave in trusting people. So they had to be brave to trust others to help. Okay, so that's my last one. So you can see I have my theme, and then down below I have 3 key details to support that theme. They go hand in hand with bravery and overcoming danger. What I'm going to be asking you to do is I'm going to ask you to come up with your own theme. Now, in the video, I talked about a couple different ideas, and then you're going to write a races response. And in the Google Doc, I kind of went through each of the RACES and explained what each of those is, but I want you to do several sentences explaining what you think the most important theme is. So this book had a lot of different themes, but I want you to come up with what you think is the most important. And if you come up with one that I didn't mention, that's great. That's even better because you're showing me that you really were paying attention throughout the story. All right, go ahead and get on to Google Classroom, find that Google Doc, and give me a great races response. Bye, guys.